Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us in this, we hope, very profitable and engaging webinar with everyone. We are going to be talking about retail. And when we look at retail today, and I'm speaking to those who run stores, manage teams, approve timesheets, the pressure is not abstract. It's overtime and overburden that shouldn't be happening. And that's what we are going to be talking today. Not technology in the abstract, but what really changes in operations and for people when workforce management is done intelligently. We have the luck to have two amazing individuals that live and breathe retail every day. Paulo Magalhães, who founded and manages one amazing Kaizen Institute partner that is Tlantic. Very early in his career, let's put it some years ago, while leading tech teams, he understood that big tech companies failed in being able to deploy customized solutions to their clients and to the retailers. Meanwhile, Tlantic has developed some amazing tech products specifically for retailers that go from digitalizing store operations to effectively design the best timetables to fit the customer and operations needs and many others. We will also have the opportunity to learn from Nazaré Pinto, drawing on nearly 2 decades of experience in retail. Nazaré has built a strong and well-rounded background within Auchan Portugal. As head of people operations, she leads strategies that shape how teams are built, developed, and sustained across one of Europe's most recognized retail networks. In this session, Nazaré will share practical insights on unlocking potential and driving sustainable results. Before that, and just to introduce a little bit also on us, Kaizen Institute. So we were founded in 1985 by Mr. Masaki Imai, the man who systemized what Toyota was already been practicing for decades. Continuous improvement as a work culture, not an isolated project. Today, we operate in more than 60 countries across over 45 industries. In retail specifically, we have worked with some of Europe's largest retail chains, not simply selling methodology, but implementing it in real operations side by side with their teams. What sets us apart is that we do not leave behind a manual and we walk away. We stay until behaviors are changed and until results are sustainable without our presence. Now trying to context a little bit about the application of Kaizen in retail and how we see and how we have been analyzing and studying the retail landscape in these past years and the years to come in the near future. So what means Kaizen? Kaizen, the word Kaizen combines two Japanese concepts. Kai, that means change, and Zen, that means better. Together, the meaning is continuous improvement. But what makes it powerful, it's not the word itself, it's the belief behind it. Everyone, every day, everywhere, doing small improvements. Every person on the shop floor, every shift manager, every store manager, every scheduler is a driver for improvement. This is the culture that we help build. Retail right now, we could say that it's often and that there's not a dull moment in retail. But the truth is that retail is under pressure from every direction. Customers expect the right product at the right time across all the channels, every channels that the retailer operates. And their tolerance for gaps is shrinking. Costs are rising, labor is harder to retain, and digital native competitors are raising the bar. The businesses that will come out ahead are those that transform their operations, not just their technology. And at the heart of that transformation is the workforce, the people that every day are keeping the stores up to standard and delivering the goods and services to the customer hands. We believe and summarize 6 forces that are reshaping the rules of retail. personalization, sustainability, digitalization, agility, immediacy, and collaboration. These are not trends to observe from a distance. They are translated into operational realities requiring concrete responses in how schedules are built, how teams are deployed and engaged, and how the customer experience is being delivered every single day, every single moment of the journey. The central question is this: how can retailers thrive, not just survive? How do you turn your workforce into a true competitive advantage? The answer starts with having the right people in the right place at the right time and building the systems and the culture that make that the norm, not the exception. So a little bit more on how do we do it in the practice, how it really happens. So our approach, the Kaizen approach, is built on two complementary movements. First, we diagnose. We begin by understanding what is really happening in operations, in scheduling, in actual productivity versus what the reports say. It is an end-to-end analysis that identifies where waste exists, where demand and workforce planning are misaligned, and where managers are losing time that should be invested in their teams. Afterwards, we implement, hands-on, on the ground, with continuous coaching, being present while new behaviors are established until they become the normal way of working. It is the combination of those two elements that creates what we call a culture of continuous improvement, where every team, every shift, and every schedule is an opportunity to be slightly better than yesterday. And with that, and I will finish with this one, it comes the results. When this approach is applied properly, the numbers speak for themselves. A 30% increase in productivity, 25% reduction in employee turnover, schedules published 2 months in advance instead of days, and managers freeing up 20% of their time to focus on what truly matters, their teams. What Auchan achieved did not happen by chance. It happened because people changed the way they worked and because that change was supported every single day until it became part of the culture. With this, I hand my part, and I will hand over now to Paulo Magalhães, CEO of the Tlantic team, who will show you how workforce management technology works from the inside. And afterwards, we will have Nazaré, Head of People Operations, that will share what this meant in practical terms for Auchan Retail. Thank you so much and enjoy our webinar.
Good morning, and thank you very much for your introduction, Daniel. And it's a pleasure, a real pleasure to be here with you, discussing such a passionate team. So, starting with what really matters to us, the store. The store is something that evolved a lot during the years, and we may say that really a lot has changed, but to that change, the essence should and has remained the same. And regarding what the change can be seen in retail, we see technology evolving, we see all the methods that support the store and the processes in the store evolving, but at the same time, and that obviously is of a lot of help to provide a service that is needed in the stores and to support the teams there, the employees, the associates. But what we see at the same time is the complexity arising. We deal now with lots of different methods of doing the service to the customers in an omni-channel mode and being more and more demanding. We do also see how the products are embedded with services, the products that need lots of assistance, lots of technological complexity to be solved. And also what is really a paradox that is evolving to more and more self-service, supported by technology, but at the same time, the requirements that are needed to service the customers and to be there to do the assisted sales. That is the environment of the stores. But the essence remained the same after all these years. The store is a place of ever-growing demands, obviously, as I've said, and that's a part of the essence. But more than that, a store is really a place of people, the associates, for people, the customers. And that is what drives us, is to put technology not to replace the people that serve the people, but to assist them in selling and in serving with a good smile. And we are really very, very driven to try to help retailers to unlock this paradox, which is in all that change, with all that complexity, to excel in managing people, their skills, and their work. And let's do some imagination, okay? What if we could drive absenteeism down, at the same time drive turnover down, motivating and keeping the associates happy with their work in such a tough environment? What if we could take the decisions of engaging the people, in putting them to work with transparency, as well as motivating them, and with flexibility, providing obviously the changes that are needed and accommodating what the interests of the individuals are? What if, at the third level, we could simulate to different contexts, to different realities, the best contract types and a way to accommodate the best shift allocation of people? What if, lastly, we could try to align the required hours of work with the allocated hours of work of the people? Those seem to be difficult and tough jobs to achieve, but I would say, and that's my point here, that it is possible, and that's what we've been observing throughout the years. First, what we should do is really to start by trying to predict, trying to think, to look ahead and do about the future, obviously, and do the forecasting in the most accurate way. Then we could obviously have part of the equation solved, that is the demand of labor for each hour, for each place, for each skill that is needed in a very accurate and very real way. Then, after that, what we should do is focus in an early, as Daniel said, that was accomplished in the project that we are involved in, with lots of anticipation. Try to think of scheduling the jobs, the work of the people with 1 month in advance, with rigorous planning, as well as a planning that foresees what the needs are and shares with the people what we are going to expect from them. Thirdly, to take the decisions about how to allocate the people, what to demand from them, and when it is demanded from them, with fairness, with the purpose of enhancing and of rewarding the merit, and also recognize, and that's a culture that should be driven, and that obviously should be supported by the tools and by by the availability of the managers in the stores, a recognized sense of justice. People want equity, equitable decisions, that they compare themselves and sense that they are treated in the right way, and that obviously the merit and the results are being rewarded and not the opposite way. And trying really in a very trusty way to accommodate individual needs. People, are humans, they have their own lives, they obviously want to excel in the professional life, but also to try to balance their needs, independently of their being the most humble store operators or the managers of a section in the store, of the manager of the store. They have their individual needs. They want the leaders, their leaders, to provide a sense of accommodating what they need really to have, obviously when it is possible, and obviously in a fair way. And if that is achieved, then what we really need to focus on is in the control of all the work that is being done. And that requires also tools, information to provide feedback to compare what the execution of the schedules, the execution of the tasks that have been planned to fill those schedules of work, and the results that are being achieved, okay? And that can be made through continuous monitoring and a rigorous control and comparing the deviations, the changes, and act upon the measures that should be taken to correct those deviations. Last but not least, have that feedback, be completely attentive to what the reality is telling you, to learn and to do the continuous improving that is paramount in those cases. So that's what we've been doing at Tlantic for more than 20 years. And the store is our passion. We dedicate our core attention and our energy, our efforts to take technology, improve technology, put it to work for people, and use it, and that's the most important part, to humanize retail operations. We do it through software and also our expertise in change management. And having said that, and presented in brief words what we can achieve through a correct workforce management tool, I would pass over to Auchan, to Nazaré, and really telling that we are very honored and very, very committed in working with Auchan, both in Portugal and Spain, trying to help improving their operations, and doing that having in mind that what we have achieved until now, the accomplishments that were achieved in the last years, are nothing compared with what we humbly should work on in the future, because the work is always starting and always being renewed, and what we have done is much lesser than what the future is requiring from us. So we will continue working humbly, linked with the store operations and with the stores, to really try to humanize their work and accomplish the best results. Thank you.
Thank you, Paulo. Thank you so much. Let me say that what you and Tlantic have been able to develop and implement is really to be praised in the retail world. It's undoubtedly tools and methodologies and a lot of things that you have been implementing that really helps retail to thrive and to improve their operations, the customer experience that the retailers are able to deliver. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time, for the what you have just shared with us, with the group. You've talked from people being driven, happy, motivated, which really translates into teams and people being engaged, which is fundamental, and it has a big role on both productivity but also customer satisfaction. So we know this, and thank you again. We will now go to Nazaré Pinto. So first-handly, she will tell us, and we are fortunate enough to have this moment with her. So she will tell us a real-life story in Ocean Retail, how they have aligned workforce, operations, and customer experience. She will tell us a little bit about the roles of continuous improvement that together with the workforce optimization, we're able to deliver some very amazing results there. And so, Nazaré, let me just say that thank you so much for your time, for taking the time to be with us and share your experience and knowledge. And the floor is yours, Nazaré. Thank you so much.
Good morning, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank Daniel Mendes and Paulo Magalhães for the invitation and for the opportunity to join this important discussion on a topic that is absolutely critical for our industry today, operational excellence in omnichannel retail. And more specifically, how we connect operations, workforce, and execution at scale. So let me start with a simple observation. Retail today is operating in a system of constant pressure, as Daniel said. And this pressure is not isolated, it is structural. We see demand volatility, we see cost pressure, we see omnichannel complexity, and we see rising customer expectations. At the same time, we see a very important shift on workforce expectations. Since the post-COVID period, we have seen a clear and lasting reset in expectations around the work. Employees today place significantly higher value on predictability, fairness, and control over time. And in a sector like retail, where shift work, weekends, early morning, and late evenings are structural, it's our business, this creates a very real operational challenge. So what we are seeing is a convergence of two dynamics. On one side, increasing operational complexity. On the other side, increasing workforce expectations around stability and predictability. And the result is that retailers are now trying to optimize three things simultaneously: efficiency, agility, and customer experience. And that's really the context I would like to explore today. Because in our experience at Auchan, working with operational teams across multiple formats and markets, the real challenge is no longer about designing better models. It is about ensuring those models can be executed consistently in the real world, every day, in every store. So that is where the discussion around workforce optimization, operational discipline, and continuous improvement becomes absolutely critical. And this brings us into a new era of retail transformation. What changed in the last few years, it's not only the customer behavior, is the speed at which operational models become obsolete. What was yesterday, it's not today. So customers move seamlessly between channels. Expectations are immediate. Cost pressure is structural, and execution margins are becoming increasingly narrow. So in this environment, operational excellence can no longer be separated from workforce strategy. Because ultimately, omni-channel retail is executed by people. And that is where our journey at Auchan has been particularly interesting. Not simply implementing tools, but we have to redesigning how operations, workforce planning, and continuous improvement work together. So retail has always been complex, as Daniel said at the beginning. But what is the difference now? Is the simultaneity of pressures, because first, we have an omni-channel fragmentation. Customers no longer distinguish between channels, but operationally, retailers still often do and need to do that. Second, labor cost pressure. Across Europe, retailers are facing sustained pressure on operating costs while still needing to invest in transformation, in technology, and in service quality. So this creates a very difficult balance, maintaining efficiency without eroding execution capability. Third, workforce shortages. Retail is competing for a talent in a market where expectations around flexibility, predictability, and work-life integration have changed significantly. At the same time, turnover levels in many operations continue to increase, which directly impacts on consistency and obviously on productivity maturity. Fourth, we have the demand volatility. And finally, faster customer expectations. They want speed, availability, consistency, and seamless experience across every touch point. And the key point is this. We are no longer choosing between efficiency, agility, or experience. We must deliver all three, and at the same time. And this is exactly why workforce optimization and operational excellence has become strategic priorities, not simply initiatives. So this is one of the most important shifts we see. Operational pressure is now human pressure, because complexity doesn't stay in systems, it moves into people, and we felt that every day. From the perspective of store teams, agility many times means instability, and this dynamic has been further amplified in the post-COVID context. So, across the retail sector and consistent with broader labor, market studies and employee surveys in Europe and also in Auchan, we have observed a clear and lasting change. So employees now place significantly higher value on predictability, life balance, and control over time. So this is not a temporary behavioral fluctuation. It is a structural reset in how people evaluate shift-based work, particularly in environments with early mornings, late evenings, and rotating weekends like we have. So at Auchan, we also clearly identified through our internal listening mechanisms, highlighting recurring operational signals around, and with no news, schedule predictability, perceived fairness in shift allocations, workload consistency and work-life balance. And importantly, these are not isolated HR teams. It is a question of operational design. And this became even more relevant when combined with another structural challenge in the sector, the increasing turnover and the limited productivity evolution over time. So, because when workforce stability decreases, organizations experience loss of operational knowledge, a reduced execution consistency, and I guess Paulo said, and increased leadership efforts spent on stabilization rather than improvement. In practical terms, productivity gains became significantly harder to sustain, and that's a big challenge for us. So the question becomes, what is workforce optimization really about? In many organizations, workforce optimization is still primarily interpreted as a schedule or cost optimization exercise. But in really what we found and what many retailers are now discovering is that workforce optimization is fundamentally an operational lever. And at Auchan, the shift we made was to stop seeing workforce management as a standalone HR or planning function and start treating it as a part of operational system. In many retail environments, and Auchan it's not an exception, there's a structural gap between what is planned and what is actually happens in stores. And this gap creates inefficiencies that are not always visible at head office level, but are very visible in store reality. We see a lot of rework, overload at peak times, underutilization at other moments, and constant reprioritization during the day. And importantly, this is where we see the direct connection to employee experience, not through engagement initiatives, but through operational design. So at Auchan, what was particularly relevant was not the implementation of a single solution. It was a combination of workforce visibility tools and a continuous improvement mindset rooted in Kaizen principles. So the goal is not to do less with fewer people. The goal is to do better with a more stable and aligned operating model. Now we are going to zoom out. We see a clear industry shift. In several leading retailers across Europe, we are seeing a gradual but a very clear shift from workforce as a capacity resource to workforce as a strategic capability. This means that frontline teams are not only positioned to execute tasks, but increasingly to actively shape the quality of the customer experience. So in other words, if the workforce is becoming to a source of differentiation. And at Auchan, we approached this as operational maturity, not a project, but a system evolution. So, as a large retail organization operating across multiple formats and customer missions, complexity is not something new for us. It is inherent to the model. We know that. But with different operational realities and increasing omni-channel integration. So the real question was not complexity. It was and still is I have to say, consistency across the stores, across formats, and across execution. And we observed something really important, is that variability in execution does exist. Not in capability, and that matters, but and because we know that consistency drives productivity, we then combine the two enablers. On one side, we needed stronger visibility over operational reality, workforce demand, workload distribution, and planning accuracy across stores. This was enabled through Tlantic Smart Workforce Solutions. On the other side, we needed continuous improvement grounded on Kaizen principles. So visibility alone does not change performance, but discipline turns insight into action. And the most important lessons come from execution, not design. First lesson, transformation is not linear. Second, leadership behavior defines the real system. Third, visibility only matters if it changes routines. And fourth, simplicity drives adoption. And what we learned overall is this: operational excellence is not a project; it's a pattern of daily decisions. There are still structural blind spots in retail. One is many organizations focus on visible metrics such as labor costs, productivity ratios, or sales performance. But what is often less visible is the operational costs of instability, constant reprioritization, reactive decision-making, and variability in execution quality across locations. Operational instability is underestimated. And two, we learn that there is a gap between digital ambition and operational reality. Retailers are investing heavily in omnichannel capabilities, automation, data-driven decision-making, but in many cases, the operational layer, particularly in stores, has not evolved at the same pace. Third lesson, we learned that workforce sustainability is still not fully integrated into operational thinking. So topics as turnover, predictability, fairness perception, and workload stability are still often treated as HR outcomes rather than operational constraints. Fourth, productivity is still too narrowly defined. In many organizations, productivity is treated as a cost efficiency metric, but in retail environments, productivity is fundamentally linked to operational design, workload distribution, and execution consistency. So the future of retail workforce is evolving from labor to capability, from reactive scheduling to productive orchestration, from transitional roles to structured frontline ecosystems. As we saw in some of the benchmarks earlier, this is already visible in models where specialized roles are embedded directly into store operations, particularly in fresh categories, sourcing, and quality management. So there's one thing that's critical. The human dimension is becoming more important, not less. Because expectations have changed. People want predictability. They want fairness. They want coherence. So the future of retail workforce will not be the most automated, but the most operationally aligned. And with that in mind, let me close with the key takeaways from this journey, both from Auchan's experience and from what we see across the industry. So, workforce and operations are inseparable. Second, complexity is structural. We have no way to escape from it. Third, productivity depends on stability. And fourth, technology only creates value when embedded in operations. And in that context, the organization that will succeed are not necessarily the ones with the most advanced tools. They are the ones capable of turning operational complexity into consistent execution excellence every single day in every store. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nazaré. Thank you so much. Also, Paulo. But Nazaré, you shared so much. I'm sure everyone enjoyed the depth of your presentation and your insights. We really hope for the ones who joined this session that you now have a little bit more knowledge on how to do it, just not the concepts and the technicality behind it, but also that you use this session to reflect a little bit and to make sure that, well, the ones that can, at least, that are a little bit more engaged now on how to try to drive it and do it. So this was our session. Again, we really hope that you enjoyed. We prepared it so that you could. And just to finalize, so let's keep improving retail. What we also learned here is that we need to do it together with the people and the people that are really delivering the customer experience, so the workforce in the stores, in the point of impact. I wish you all a very good, great day, and we hope to see you back in other sessions in the near future. Thank you so much.